Hey, howdy hey, and welcome back to Emily's Adventures in Horrorland. Today I'm joined by Just Braggart, as of course Killjoy has perished in the course of protecting me from a demon. Of course I'm still chugging the antidepressant potion, but I do miss her.
Well, luckily she won't be needed for today's review. This one's a good one.
I guess so. It is stretching it a bit to call it a horror movie though. We'll get into that eventually. Today's film is a request from one of my patrons, Joseph Lionel. He's the one behind the Final Girls stream over on CP's channel, and he's a good bloke generally. Today he's asked me to cover Blade Runner 2049, which came out as a sequel last year to the original 1982 Blade Runner. Now this film didn't do so well at the box office. I think it was being overshadowed by It Part 1. Today in my rewatching of Blade Runner 2049, I will try to discover what made it so great and what, if anything, was holding it back. And I'll try not to fall in the trap of reviewing every single scene, because this is possibly the longest thing I've ever covered. Not counting Marble Hornets, of course. But we'll see what happens. Okay, we begin with a written explanation of what replicants are. That's good, I guess. Neander Wallace took over Tyrell. And then they were acquired by the Disney Corporation. California, here we come, right back where we started from. Here we see our protagonist Kay, who approaches a maggot farmer living in the middle of nowhere. How do you wade in there without squashing them? This man is one of these old-school replicants, and it's unclear if he knows what fate is going to befall him. He does seem remarkably calm. And a wall-breaking physical fight ensues. Yeah! Turns out Kay is one of the newer models, a Nexus 9, and a Blade Runner. He does his job, basically. He obeys. And the older model, Nexus 8, is retired. Oh, now that garlic thing is going to waste.
Waste of garlic!
Outside the home, he finds something buried, which will turn out to be the grave of another replicant. Some lovely shots of the skyscrapers. Future's still dystopian. Yep. There's a confusing post-traumatic therapy session, which seems to be the reverse of the test from the original, as it checks for an abundance of emotion, not lack thereof.
Dude, they keep you in a little box. Cells.
Cells.
Interlinked.
Interlinked.
What's it like to hold the hand of someone you love? Interlinked.
Interlinked.
What were those words for, Mommy?
Kay then comes home to his lovely, virtual missus.
Voila. Bon appetit.
The papers I could write about new replicants, killing old replicants, and coming home to their AI girlfriends. I mean, she is literally dressed as a 50s housewife, because I guess secretly that's what we all want.
Would you read to me?
Huh. Or maybe not, I suppose.
Let's dance.
That could be...
Do you want to open your present?
What present?
Huh. I wonder what my hologrammatic companion would look like if I was put on the spot. Oh, really? I would have said the dog.
Oh, that reminds me. I ordered a little something for today's review.
Why did you order a virtual CP when we have a perfectly good one at home?
Yes, and why you give me this accent?
Oh, let me have my secrets.
No, put him back to New York. He sounds weird.
All right.
That's better.
Yeah, so Kay in this movie treats his girlfriend Joy quite well, which in this universe means respects her autonomy enough to give her the freedom to leave the house. He's just gonna leave her there like an idiot. No, never mind. The work summons is about the remains of the old-school replicant, as she seems to have died of a cesarean section. This would be the miracle this guy talked about, as replicants weren't known to be capable of reproducing. It also raises the question of why did Tyrell engineer his female replicant assistant to be so anatomically correct?
What you saw didn't happen.
Yes, madam.
Erase everything.
Even the child.
All trace.
Kay has some reservations about this, and they talk about souls.
You've been getting on fine without one.
What's that, madam?
A soul.
Which raises another question of how do you know if you even have a soul? That, I imagine, is harder to answer than the pervert Tyrell one.
Well, pervert is such a strong word, you know.
You would say that.
I wouldn't waste your money on intelligence, attachment, or appeal. Unless you'd like to add some pleasure models to your order.
Aha! I knew it! Kay goes to the Wallace Corporation headquarters to track down the pregnant replicant's records. There's a tongue twister. Again, it recalls the original film, which also used overbearing mustard yellows, but here it's especially lurid. Yellow can symbolize many things in film, but if it's more on the dingy side, it suggests caution, deceit, and betrayal, which might be appropriate for Wallace's offices.
While we're on the topic of aesthetics, I love that the Blade Runner franchise gives us such a dismal view of the future. It's not all gleaming whites and sci-fi blues. It's utilitarian, functional, dirty, and unwelcoming. Dystopian, in a nutshell. This is also why I've always loved the aesthetic of Red Dwarf. It was originally pitched as being cheap to make, i.e. that the ship's corridors could absolutely be the corridors of a BBC office building, but that's what makes it so great. In real life, why would a mining ship look like a MacBook Pro? So of course when Red Dwarf homages Blade Runner in its season 9, it was absolutely perfect.
Getting off topic a bit, aren't we?
A little bit, yeah. Kay talks to another replicant called Love. I guess this name is ironic, given how ruthless she can be later. She is stylish though, I'll give her that.
Sorry about that.
The pregnant replicant was Rachel from the original Blade Runner. Dun dun dun! This leads Kay to investigate the Blade Runner who has ties to Rachel, Officer Deckard. Meanwhile, we see Mr. Wallace, played by Jared Leto. Wait, hold up.
See Alien Resurrection? This is how you do it.
Wallace says something to the effect of, humans can only be comfortable with slavery if those slaves are engineered. But he wants replicants to reproduce sexually to take away some of the legwork for him and ultimately colonize other planets. Now Tyrell has only made one replicant who has had a kid, and Wallace wants the secret. So he sends Love to steal Rachel's DNA. Never a sunny day in these Blade Runner films, is it? A prostitute called Mariette is sent to run interference on Kay, but seems to like him a bit too. I have a feeling she'll be back later. After Kay finds a date carved into the dead tree under which the miracle took place, his boss, Lieutenant Joshi, asks him about his childhood memories. He already knows these memories are counterfeit, which is interesting because this was an emotional turning point for Rachel in the original. Anyway, he shares a memory about hiding his wooden toy horse from some bullies.
You don't prefer your madam?
You were listening.
Maybe.
That is so cute that his AI girlfriend can be programmed to be jealous. Oh, isn't that the cutest thing you've ever seen?
Okay, now here's where we get a dangerous coincidence. The date carved into the tree all those years ago is the same date that was carved into his wooden horse. And then later on, when he goes to check the birth records for that year, he finds a genetically identical twin boy and girl, only one of which is still alive. Now that shouldn't be possible. But this seems to be That's Impossible the movie. First, replicants can't have babies, now humans can't have the exact same DNA. Ah, the future.
I always knew you were special. A child of woman born. Wanted. Loved.
Buckle up.
In his search for the records at the orphanage/child labour camp, Kay meets with a bit of resistance, but Love dispatches them all as she needs Kay to lead her to the child.
Go north. Fire.
Hey, nice nails. Do you think living in the dystopian future is worth getting that kind of manny?
And in a tense scene, he finds the wooden horse, still there after all this time.
The real boy needs a real name. Joe.
Joe doesn't begin with K. This is why you're meant to stay in the kitchen.
But you could argue maybe that's there in case the replicants who share this implanted memory go looking. Nope! He goes to this woman who manufactures replicant memories to check, and she says it is genuine. Also, she's so poorly she has to stay behind a glass constantly. Funny, it says the identical twin girl died of a genetic disorder.
So you're gonna storm out without explaining anything.
You should be our new Killjoy. Wouldn't that be great?
We can't just replace her. No. You're here for one video and that's it.
Can I at least get Taco Bell before you switch me off?
Sure thing, sweetie.
So after Kay fails his baseline test, he lies to his boss that he found and killed the child and buggers off out of her office. Now what follows afterwards is a visually and emotionally stunning sequence. Joy decides to merge with Mariette in order to be intimate with Kay. It's an impressive effect. I especially like how you can sort of tell the difference between the woman's more practiced hands and Joy's tentative touch. It's actually kind of beautiful.
Well, that's not going to do his baseline any favors.
Oh great, way to spoil the moment.
Oh, now hush. This is the internet. We don't show vulnerability. Nothing is beautiful. It's fabulous. It's amazing.
Are you okay? Okay. Kay decides to leave and Joy asks to come with him using the Emanator while erasing herself from the console at home so they can't access her memories. This means effectively she is at risk of dying.
Like a real girl.
Okay, that looks like she's just set up office in the swimming pool that everyone has pissed in. Love turns up to kill Joshi and uses her dead face to access the system and find out where Kay is. I find her compelling, as she's, by human standards anyway, quite a broken replicant. She flirts with Kay, she gets heated when things don't go her way, and we see her crying at numerous points. I used to think that she did this just because she enjoys it, because she can, because she's reveling in her emotions in a villainous kind of way.
The best angel of all. Aren't you, love?
But then I thought of Rachel's crying scenes in the original, and it made me realize, oh yeah, maybe they just both have empathy.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'd even argue that Love is the Rachel of this movie, as effectively she is Wallace's most beloved creation.
Except she's also a slave for Wallace and kills as easy as breathing, so the resemblance isn't exact. Meanwhile, in the honey farm that is Las Vegas, Kay has tracked down Rick Deckard. Surely I don't have to introduce him.
I didn't happen to have a piece of cheese about you now, would you, boy?
Many is the night I dream of cheese.
Ah, but do androids dream of electric cheese? Deckard assumes Kay is here to take him in. I assume, since he's still alive at this point, that he's not one of the older model replicants. Although I suppose he could be, because Tyrell was getting experimental at the end. I mean, who knows? But I do know one thing, this fight scene has a very special guest. Jump scare hologram Elvis! The way the music keeps stopping and starting makes it kind of hard to jam out and get into the fight though, just saying.
I like this song.
See, he agrees with me, keep the music on. There's more of that mustard yellow. And there's a doggo! Oh, thank goodness the future still has doggos. The two of them talk about what it's like to live in Vegas, then delve into Deckard's backstory with Rachel.
You didn't even meet your own kid?
That was the plan. I didn't want our child found, taken apart, dissected.
All this is very interesting, and it's also convenient that Deckard never brings up pronouns in this discussion. As we'll find out, K/Joey, Joe Jr., whatever, is not the child of Deckard and Rachel. Memory Lady is. It makes sense. Why else would she be content to stay in a glass prison her whole life if she wasn't at least part replicant? And she knew the memories were real because she lived them.
But that's what makes this exchange so meaningful. He thinks he's met his father, the dude who carves these wooden animals.
Pet it. You pet that dog immediately, you monster! Soon enough, Love and her friends come to claim Deckard, and as a final kick the dog moment,
Bad dog.
Love crushes the Emanator, killing Joy. Still, at least they didn't kill the actual dog. Later on, Mariette wakes up Joey in a mysterious waterlogged building, the sanctuary of the Nexus revolutionaries. I suppose she's all that's left of his girlfriend at this point. He meets Fraser, another witness to the miracle of replicant birth.
A revolution is coming, and we're building an army. I want to free our people.
She urges him to kill Deckard so her people can be safe. She also hits him with the revelation that he is not the miracle baby.
We all wish it was us.
Meanwhile, Wallace asks Deckard for the specimen, which is a weird thing to call a person. They try to manipulate him by giving him a new Rachel in exchange for the secret. Holy fuck, that is some incredible CGI. And it's creepy in and of itself. I worry about the day CGI can easily and perfectly replicate the very look, movement, and essence of humanity. We're almost there. In the Star Wars movie, they brought back Peter Cushing, and you could just tell it wasn't him. In this film, it's almost indistinguishable, but it took the visual effects team a whole year to do. But what will humanity do when we can perfectly imitate humans in video form? Make them do whatever we want. Sell them, frame them for crimes. Sorry, now I'm the one getting off topic. Anyway, as it is, they got Rachel's eye colour wrong, so he says no. But what if they had been correct? And there's a gigantic advertisement for his AI girlfriend, making a mockery of his emotions. Having reflected on the state of affairs, Kay decides to rescue Deckard from certain torture. I like this fight scene, although at this point in the movie my bladder usually can't handle much more. What's interesting is that it's very much close-range combat, very up-close and personal. Again, lending some humanity to the replicants. The fight continues back in the pod as they try to deprive one another of oxygen. Wait, replicants need to breathe? Okay, whatever.
You drowned out there. You're free to meet your daughter now.
And why has he done this?
What am I to you?
I suppose he wants the same happy ending for Deckard and his child as he wanted for himself. It's the human thing to do. And so we have a conclusion for our film which is cautiously optimistic with a little emotional tug on the old heartstrings. Much like the original, I suppose. I mean, oh, wasn't that a spooky film? Oh, truly chilling. Were you scared? I'm scared. Okay, now this is going to sound obvious and maybe an odd point to end on, but sci-fi is not the same as horror. Why would people confuse the two? Well, there have been some crossovers and they have some things in common. They show which aspects of our society are slowly strangulating our existence. That could be nuclear power, technology, the patriarchy, or something else entirely. They show what happens when innovation goes too far, when plants and animals evolve too much, when we go into space, or when the aliens come down to us. And in both genres, our protagonists are running scared.
But in a recent discussion with a friend, we found that when film presents a terrifying reality, horror is inclined to punish its characters by confining them to it, whereas sci-fi is more open to the kinds of questions that can lead them from destruction. And yes, in Blade Runner 2049, the day is not saved. Wallace is still at large, and detoxified water is still a luxury. However, the replicant uprising is nigh, and the bigger questions of what it means to be human and to have a soul are still up for grabs.
Do I have a soul?
I think the real question is, do you want some Taco Bell Mexican pizza?
Does the Pope shit in the woods?
See you there, sweetie. Okay, I'll just... Excuse me. Ooh. Just making my way round. Never mind that. Ooh. Okay.
She's not teleporting much these days. Oh well. I liked this film. I thought it was very long, but a decent extension of the original lore, as well as being pretty comprehensible to new viewers. Just couldn't compete with The Clown. For those reasons, and the ones we mentioned before, I'm going to give this film 8 jam sandwiches out of 10. Thanks very much to Joseph for requesting it. It's been a nice vacation from horror. Okay, what am I doing next? Krampus the Reckoning. Oh, joy. Well, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheerio.